Hello and welcome to Wingin It. So once again, we're back with another gameplay video here today, and it is again from the Diamond Firetail Foursomes. So once again, this is the current team tournament that we have going on the Wingspan Tournaments Discord server. And yeah, we'll get stuck straight into the starting hand here this time, obviously going second. And overall, really good starting hand, I think. The European Bee Eater, definitely one of my favourite birds from the European expansion. I think anytime you can get those birds down in your grasslands and get some food while you're laying eggs, that is such a strong power to have. And then yeah, alongside that, Black Tern, really nice wetland bird, obviously pretty cheap to get down, eats those worms that I'm going to be looking to get from the Bee Eater anyway. And yeah, it's going to help for a few end-of-round goals as well, so very nice opening wetland bird. Obviously, going second here, I'm going to have to kind of consider the tray a bit. So, pretty strong tray all in all, I think. Red-winged blackbird and the blue throat, two very strong options. And definitely two birds that pair very well together if you're going to go for a sort of wetlands tucking engine that's going to get you cards and eggs and food all at the same time. So, yeah, I know that I'm pretty much going to have to grab one of those two on my first turn, no matter which one it is, because if I don't, my opponent is going to get both. Like I say, that's just going to be a really nice combination for them. So yeah, you see I'm also looking at this red-cockaded woodpecker, which yeah, served me very nicely in my previous game. But this time I'm kind of thinking, rather than put it in the wetlands, it could make a very nice combination with this bee eater in the grasslands. I think normally the problem with this woodpecker is getting stuck on the bird feeder and not getting the seeds, but yeah, being able to obviously re-roll the bird feeder with that bee eater power is very strong. So yeah, like I say, kind of tricky because I don't really know whether I'm going to get the blue throat or the blackbird. I think I probably would rather have the blue throat. Obviously more points, potential to get a bit of food as well. So I've kept the worm and the seed, and then obviously there's a worm in the feeder if I want to grab that and play the bee eater. But equally, there's a couple of cherries there. So, you know, if I want to play the blue throat, if I can grab that, I can pretty easily get that down. But likewise, if I'm left with the blackbird, I've got the seed to play that as well. So, yeah, here we go. Over to our first turn, and we get the blue throat. So, I think probably if I was in my opponent's position, that is what I would have done. I would have taken the blackbird and left my opponent the blue throat. Now, unfortunately, obviously, I take the blue throat and immediately reveal the white stork. So, again, another one of these really strong European expansion birds. This time, instead of getting food in the grasslands, you can get cards in the grasslands. So, yeah, I was banging my head on the table when I saw my opponent could grab that. But then in turn, they're probably banging their head on the table because they take the white stork and reveal the purple martin. So, very nice tucking bird for me. And yeah, whenever this kind of thing happens where you reveal a strong bird for your opponent and then they reveal a strong one for you, I think, at least for me, I try and work out if that was a fair trade. You know, is me receiving the blue throat and the martin a fair trade for them receiving the white stork? I think probably yes. I think I'm quite happy with these cards I've got. Certainly, I will have to think carefully about whether I play the blue throat because obviously my opponent, they're going to have really easy access to eggs and cards with the white stork, which I'm almost certain they're going to play straight away in their grasslands. But the thing missing for them is that food. So I don't want to be throwing around a bunch of food if I can avoid it. And certainly, like I said, my original plan, I think, still works here with the bee eater. And then I can get some worms. I've already got the seed, so I can look to get this woodpecker down as well. And yeah, I think anytime you're getting a couple of foods in that grasslands, while also getting those eggs, obviously for points at the end of the game, but also to help play some birds, maybe discard to get some extra cards, then yeah, that's the start of a really strong grasslands. And certainly with a bird like the purple martin, if I can add that alongside in that grasslands, get that extra card cycle, get a few more points, I'm going to be very satisfied with that. So yeah, I think, like I said, really the key decision for me is going to be between whether I go for this blue throat or this bee eater first. So As expected, my opponent does indeed play their white stork. So I do know, obviously, they do still have this red-winged blackbird as well, and they have the food to play that. So I'm kind of trying to work out in their head what they're going to do. They do have a single extra bird that they kept in their starting hand. So for me, I'm trying to work out, okay, is that going to be a forest bird that they're going to look to play? Or are they just going to play this blackbird, start laying some eggs, hopefully get something good with that white stork power? That's really going to be their key decision at this point. But for me, my key decision, as I said, is do I go blue throat and just accept the fact that I'm giving some food for my opponent, but with the benefit of me gaining that bit of extra tempo, obviously getting a load of points with the blue throat, but being able to really select exactly what food I want rather than just be restricted to worms through this bee eater. Really, I think the bee eater, like I say, the worm there, I can grab it and play it, and it is going to be a gamble on the reroll whether I can get that extra worm through the power. But I've got plenty of these birds that I can easily get down with those worms. So kind of the martin and the tern being those prime examples. Certainly that black tern, I want to get it down this round for the end of round goal. So after a bit of umming and ahhing, a bit of back and forth, sort of weighing up the pros and cons, thinking things through, I do go for the worm there, and I think that was the right call. I think it was definitely the more defensive of the two choices. I think if I was going to go really aggressive in this game, I'd be getting the cherry and playing the blue throat and just hammering that grasslands and getting a bunch of food, but obviously at the cost of giving away food to an opponent that really is struggling for food access and has really, really strong access to the other resources. So like I said, I think in this position for me certainly made sense to go for the defensive play. And I can play the bee eater, lay eggs, hopefully get a worm, play the turn in the wetlands with that worm. That's going to help for the end of round, and obviously help get some extra cards. So if I get a few cards when I'm using that wetlands, then if I get good cards, I can look to play them. If I don't get good cards, I can just tuck them through this purple martin. It's going to score me points, and all the while hopefully get me some extra nice cards as well. So as expected, my opponent did lay eggs, so they were able to activate their white stork, reset the tray, grab one of the new birds in the tray. But I think more importantly for them, they get the eggs down, so helps for their end of round, but also that's just going to allow them to get their red-winged blackbird down, which of course itself is going to help get some extra points as well. So there we go, they do get that blackbird down. Obviously they are going to be a little bit short cards, but I still think that's going to be a nice option for them. What is a really nice option for us is being able to get that worm through the bee eater. So very, very nice, very happy. I've had a few games with the bee eater that have been completely ruined in the early game because the bird feeder just decides it doesn't want to cooperate. And I think certainly those kind of first maybe 2 or 3 activations of the bee eater are the most crucial ones, because getting that food early really sets you up nicely, and it's going to help you get things set up really quickly, get those birds down, and certainly in this case being able to get that turn down for this end of round goal and then being able to lay eggs in it, really, really nice. So you see my opponent there, they are having to go for food. So this kind of move of not playing the blue throat, it's really forcing my opponent to be slow. They're only grabbing 1 food a turn. Really, not efficient way to be spending their turns. Whereas obviously if I played that blue throat and started giving away some free food, they might be able to save some turns by not having to go and grab that single food from the bird feeder. So for me, like I say, plan does not change. We get the black turn down, gives us the option. I've got 2 turns left. I know one of them is going to be laying eggs, obviously for the end of round goal, but the other one I can do whatever I like. Maybe I lay eggs again, or maybe I like to play the martin, or I can kind of just play it by ear, wait and see. Maybe a nice bird appears in the tray and I can grab that. Now I've got this black turn down. So I think whenever you can sort of put yourself in that position of being flexible and having an extra turn to maybe do with it what you like, particularly in this first round, then you put yourself in a real strong position. just being able to kind of react to the situation and see what comes up. And you'll see by doing that here, we get very, very fortunate indeed with the American Crow appearing in the tray. So absolutely, my opponent would have loved to get that American Crow. That would have kind of solved so many of their problems in getting a bit of extra food, obviously using up some of the eggs that they're generating. I think one real problem of something like White Stork is the egg space, and I think certainly, just with only a couple of birds down, obviously one of them being that black bird, which when activated is generating some extra eggs itself, it can be a real problem, and you can run out of egg space really quickly. So, yeah, they would have loved to get that American Crow, but I'm also loving seeing it. So, yeah, just that single food to get it down. I know I can really easily just lay eggs, obviously, for the end of round, and then I can play this American Crow. And suddenly I'm getting 2 food in the grasslands, and for the same reasons as maybe I'd looked to play the woodpecker earlier, as soon as you can get to that 2 food generation in the grasslands, all the while laying eggs, and I'm going to be getting tuck cards as well once this purple martin goes down. I think that's the threshold at which you don't need to focus on playing brown power birds in the forest. I'm not going to need to go to the forest at all this game. I can really just focus on hammering this grasslands. I'm going to get a bunch of eggs, bunch of tuck cards as well later in the game, and obviously all this extra food as well. So yeah, we lay the eggs, we get a lovely worm as well on the reroll there for the Bee Eater, and yeah, tying the end of round goal. I will take that every day of the week. And we go into the second round, and it is another very, very nice tray. So American Robin, straight up, I am grabbing that, no questions asked. I don't even care what else I get. A couple of trash birds, that's fine. More birds to be tucked. That's all I'm looking at those as. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking here, my grasslands is basically done. It's just a case of getting it set up, and I think whenever you can do that in round 2, that just sets your game up so neatly for the rest of the game. So once I can, play obviously this American Crow, which is what I'm going to look to do on this turn here. You see, I did kind of think about playing the Robin, but I think all in all, it's better to have your food generator after your tucks, so that maybe you tuck and draw a really nice bird, and then you know what food to gain. But also just for this early game tempo, right? I get the crow down, I lay eggs, I'm going to get a bunch of food. That's going to help me get the robin and the martin down. But also I have got an eye on this end of round goal, total birds. So, I have got a bit of a lead in that. And certainly with a couple of these cheap birds I get down, I can hopefully hold on to that lead and yeah, look to win the end of round goal and get some extra points there as well. So yeah, like I said, really kind of straightforward. I'm just going to be getting these sucking birds down and laying some eggs. So Martin is first up. We're going to get that down. Yeah, lay some eggs, get a bit of food, and start playing this Robin. So for my opponent, you will see they did play the Cooper's Hawk on their previous turn. So that is something they did have to grab in the previous round. So it's at least something, but it's kind of not the best forest bird. I think it's okay. It works in most situations, but certainly they're really looking for that strong food generating brown power, because food is absolutely the limiting factor for them at the moment. They've got loads and loads of eggs to the point where they're kind of filling up on egg space. They have got loads and loads of cards as well that they're getting through this White Stork. They're just really struggling for food. So I do legs, of course. Decide to pick up the cowbird. Not really as something to play myself. Obviously don't really have a whole lot of bowl nest space right now. That will kind of be mitigated a bit once the robin goes down, but yeah, I'm going to be laying a lot of eggs, so maybe the cowbird is not going to be the play here. That said, I do have another pink power bird in my hand in the American Av set that I'm definitely looking at playing. So it's really just a good big point bird, 6 points, puts another bird in the wetlands. So if I do have to go for cards at some point later in the game, then I'm at least going to get maybe an extra card, or maybe I can save an egg when doing so. But also it's going to help my bonus card. So not really touched on it because it's not come into play yet in this game, but I did get the Ethologist in my starting hand, which I think is probably the strongest bonus cards in the European expansion. Certainly in terms of a risk reward, you know, obviously you're guaranteed 2 points. So the way it works, you get 2 points for every unique power color in a single row. And obviously just by playing a bird, that is in itself a unique power color. So I'm already on 2 points. As soon as I add pink power bird into that wetlands, that's another 2 points. And then I could set myself up really nicely later in the game. Maybe I find a nice big point. White power birds, I can play that, get a couple of extra points as well. So, you know, if I can obviously get one worm here through the crow and then maybe another worm through the bee eater, then I can look to get this arrow set down. So that's what I'm hoping for. We take the worm through the crow and we do indeed get one from the bee eater as well. So yeah, certainly I'll be looking to get that other set down, but equally another good pickup in the Cerulean Warbler. So I think anytime I can get these kind of bonus card giving birds or big point birds that are going to go in the forest, again, like I said before, I'm not going to be having to play strong brown power birds up there, so it just saves extra space for these nice big point and bonus card giving birds. So you see my opponent, they found the Indigo Bunting, so yeah, I would have loved to have had that on my board, but it's nice to see it go down in any case. So really good position for them. Like I said, kind of for the same reasons why they would have wanted that crow earlier. They're going to be laying a lot of eggs, so if they can get a bit of extra food while doing that, they'll be very happy. And kind of for me, it was nice just to be able to counter that immediately with the other set. So, you know, I'm kind of signaling to my opponent, like, I know you're going to be laying a lot of eggs here. Whenever you do so, I'm going to be getting some free eggs. So, yeah, obviously there will have to be some management of the egg space from my end. I am generating 3 eggs a turn, don't have a whole lot of space, so yeah, I'll be looking to kind of try and play birds, particularly ones that have a lot of egg space are going to come in handy for me later in the game. So yeah, we get our free egg there from the other set, and we very comfortably win the end of round. So very, very happy, and we go here into round 3. So very strong tray here for my opponent. Now it's kind of on the late side. Certainly both the Towhee and the Hummingbird, again, same reason as the Bunting, just going to get a bit of extra food generation. But yeah, this is the real problem with the White Stork, is that the only way to grab birds with it is by resetting the tray. So as soon as there's a nice bird in the tray in this position, you have to go to your wetlands. You know, I've had games myself with the White Stork. I've got examples of it on this very channel, where if that bird comes up, you just have to grab it, and you have to spend that one turn just taking the gain cards action and only gaining that single card. And it is really slow to do that, and it is really frustrating, but I think it just has to be done. And certainly, you know, I'm expecting them definitely to be going for that Towhee. It's got those extra egg spaces as well, so that is going to help a little bit with, yeah, like I say, all these eggs that they're going to be generating themselves. So they certainly would have loved to have even just one of these 2 tucking birds I've got. That certainly fixes a lot of problems that the White Stork has, particularly if you have it activating before your White Stork. You can tuck something from your hand and maybe grab something from the tray that you like even more. That definitely helps. So we skip forward a couple of turns. I managed to grab the Common Cuckoo from the deck and also grab the 2 worms to play that. So yeah, a little bit risky here, certainly playing 2 pink powers, considering really the lack of egg space that I have on my own end. But for me, this was more of a, you know, signaling to my opponent again, really trying to put them off laying eggs, and just kind of make them feel like they're not generating the points, because, you know, now every time they lay eggs, they're going to get a good number of points, but I'm going to be getting 2. So obviously the cuckoo can lay eggs in either the ground nest or the bowl nest, so I think I'll be prioritising the bowl nest space on that robin, given that the other set is restricted only to the ground nest spaces. And yeah, for now at least, that is purely restricted to that black tern, which only has a couple of egg spaces. So yeah, I'm really going to be looking for some nice big point birds, particularly ones that have a lot of egg space that I can get down. So I think blue throat in my hand, really good example of that I can certainly look to play as we go on into this game. So yeah, you see on this turn, I'm kind of thinking myself, right, if I want to play potentially the blue throat and the warbler. I don't really want to lay eggs here. I want to be drawing some cards, so yeah, put a little bit of thought into this. You know, ideally, like I said before, I'd like to get that extra wetland bird down just to get a bit more card draw, but do decide to go for cards. And it's a really good pickup, red cockaded woodpecker, for exactly the same reasons as that cerulean warbler. If I can get some nice bonus card giving birds in my forest, that's going to score me a lot of points. And likewise with this red knot, again, a lot of points. It's going to eat worms, and certainly I'm expecting plenty of free worms through this bee eater power as the game goes on. So yeah, in a way a really good turn because I picked up 2 birds I like, but I was kind of expecting at least one of them to not be good so that I could then go and lay eggs and do some tucking. And yeah, like I say, hopefully get an extra wetland bird down before I have to go for cards again. But yeah, I did kind of weigh things up all in all and decided that it was worth laying eggs here. And unfortunately, blue throat was the one to go. Purely because I've got the red knot. That's kind of a better bird. It's going to get me a bonus card while also allow me to draw some extra cards, which I can then use for tucking. But also just all the worms again. You know, hoping still this bee eater has been pretty reliable. I think it hasn't failed yet this game for me. So as long as that continues, I can keep getting some worms, and yeah, hopefully look to get plenty of these bonus card giving birds down throughout the rest of the game. And once again, we jump forward here a couple of turns. So you see my opponent, they do lay eggs, so I get a couple of free eggs. In that time, I did play the red cockaded woodpecker. Unfortunately, got the prairie manager bonus card, so yeah, only one of those kind of birds down. Did have the cowbird there, which would have met it and got some extra points through the bonus card, but yeah, I think all things considered, really, it just didn't fit into my plans. And certainly going kind of into this final round, playing a bird like that only worth a few points, and something that's going to give me a bunch of free eggs, but again, I've not really got the space for it. I'm already getting pretty full here with the existing 2 pink powers, and certainly, yeah, just kind of hoping that I can continue to get some free food here through my bee eater. Then I can look to get the cerulean warbler down and get the red knot down. That is certainly my plan. That is all scuppered a little bit there by bee eater, sadly letting me down. But do you know what? If it's going to fail me for the first time at the end of round 3, I will take that. I think if you'd offered me that at the start of the game, I would have bitten your arm off. So yeah, very, very pleased to have had all of those worms at least so far in the game. So yeah, 1 failure is not too big of a deal. But yeah, we go. We're going to lay eggs, of course. Certainly, I've got my eye on that Bill's Vireo. At the very least, it's a denial. But potentially, I'm thinking maybe I play that over the cerulean warbler that I've got in my hand, particularly if I'm going to get some free worms. Kind of was scuppered a little bit because I'd already gained a seed through the American Crow on the previous round, so I was kind of already committed a little bit to the warbler. But yeah, like I say, I think at the very least it's a denial because I can just stop my opponent from getting that. And yeah, I mean the 3 birds in the tray now, definitely not ones that I think they're going to be looking to pick up and play. And so once again, we skip ahead to our next turn. We get a couple of free eggs, but miss out on one of them because we don't have the space anymore. So time to play this warbler, free up a little bit of space, and pull a really nice bonus card alongside it. Food of Expert. Yeah, probably one of the better ones I could have pulled there. Already obviously got those 3 birds down that meet it. Still got a couple in my hand. Don't really think I'll have the time to play both, but yeah, that red knot in my hand, that is going to be a huge play at the end. It's going to be 7 points. It's going to get me 2 from the Food of Expert, but also being a white power bird, it's going to get me another 2 from the Ethologist. So yeah, huge play in its own right. It takes a whole lot of pressure off the bonus card pool on that red knot. Obviously, these new European expansion bonus card giving birds, you only get to draw 1 bonus card. So you don't get to look at 2 and keep the best one. You only look at 1. And that is a significant disadvantage over the base game bonus card birds. But yeah, like I say, even if I draw a blank on that, this is still going to be a huge play. So I don't really have to worry too much about that. Anything that I get from there is just a real nice bonus if I can get it. Moving on again to our next turn here. our opponent gets the Eastern Imperial Eagle down. So I did kind of think that was coming for a little while, either that or the Benelli's Eagle, purely because my opponent, they were skipping quite a lot of tucks on that Blackbird. Now, partly that might have been just for the egg space, but yeah, you know, they only had one tuck on that, and that's been there basically the whole game. So I did have a feeling that something like that was coming. And yeah, when you're generating a lot of cards and not a lot of food, those cards are very welcome. So yeah, here you see I'm thinking of going for food. Now, part of this is just based on that end of round goal, food in personal supply. I will need to have at least one. I don't really think I can compete with my opponent, purely because they've obviously got the bunting and the Towhee, so you know, they're getting a couple of food to turn and already have a few extra food than me. So I was kind of thinking I can ditch the video, get a bit of extra food, hope for some worms. Obviously, very, very nice reroll there, getting the worms I need. So yeah, I can play this red knot with the 3 worms I have in my supply. The red knot, as mentioned before, give me a bonus card, but it also lets me draw 3 cards and keep 1. So at this point, not really too bothered what those cards are, but at the very least it's going to be something, so that then when I have that final turn, laying eggs, I can get tuck cards under both the Robin and the Martin. So yeah, I think pretty straightforward here. I know exactly what my last 2 turns are going to be, and yeah, when you kind of put yourself in that sort of position, it always feels very, very nice indeed. And so once again, we get some more free eggs, and once again we are getting dangerously close on filling up. So do manage to get the 2 free eggs there at least, and we play the red knot as mentioned. It is a fail on the bonus card, but like I said, I wasn't really too bothered. You know, if I could have got a 1 or a 2 point bonus card, I'd have been very happy with that. Like I say, I was already getting a bunch of points from my existing bonus cards just by playing that red knot. And yeah, frees up a little bit of egg space just to kind of really help me out as I go into this last turn. You know, I've got exactly 4 egg spaces, and 4 eggs is what I'm going to be laying. So obviously it does mean that if my opponent is laying eggs on either of these last 2 turns, fortunately not on that turn, but yeah, with 1 turn left, they might lay eggs. And obviously I'm not going to have the space to be able to use that. So yeah, here we go, pretty straightforward. Lay the eggs, go for the tuck cards. As we come to the American Crow, I was kind of umming and ahhing. I was thinking, is it going to make a difference? I think ultimately it really doesn't make a difference, because you know, whether I can gain extra food or not, I'm not going to win a food tiebreaker. You know, that's the only real position where you kind of look to get the extra food here. I think my opponent, you know, they pretty straightforwardly lay eggs. They aren't going to discard a food because they don't have space. So yeah, they'll lay eggs. They'll easily have more food than me. They're not going to miss out on eggs at all through that Blackbird. So yeah, like I say, not really a huge thing to think about. But in the end, I do choose to discard and just get that little bit of extra food. I'm kind of expecting, you know, 99% of the time, my opponent's going to be laying eggs here. You know, they've got the exact nest capacity they need. It's going to give them that little bit of extra food to help them win the end of round. So yeah, I think even if they did have a big point bird, I don't think in this position they're really going to be looking at playing it. And indeed, my opponent does lay eggs as expected. So yeah, with just a single egg space on that black turn, obviously I get one of those 3 eggs, but not both. So a few missed eggs there, but that's just the risk you take when you play 2 pink powers. So yeah, here we go into the scores, and I have to say I felt pretty confident about this one. Obviously the engine was just really, really strong. Got a lot of good bonus cards as well. You see building up a pretty strong lead there. Extend that slightly on the end of round goals, which is always nice. Lots and lots and lots of eggs, keeping pretty close there with my opponent. A few tuck cards as well at the end, and it is 105 to 82 in the end. So again, another score over 100. I say this every time I score over 100. I think you always take that. That's always a very nice score to be getting, a nice kind of benchmark to be aiming for. And yeah, you know, some good bonus cards, like I said, a couple of good ones, a couple of duds. My opponent very unfortunate there with the Eulogist to not max that out, considering that grasslands they built up and all the eggs they were laying. But yeah, I think that's the risk of the White Stork. You know, if you don't get the good birds that pair well with what you're trying to set up, then it can really be a struggle. And I think that's the kind of struggle my opponent was facing in this game. Like I said earlier on, if they got their hands on either one of those tucking birds, they would have put themselves in a very, very strong position indeed. But we did what we had to. we got the win. Another win which is going to count towards our team total in this group stage, and certainly puts us in a strong position of qualifying for the knockouts. So thank you very much everyone for watching. If you aren't subscribed to this channel, please do, so that you can stay up to date with plenty more gameplay content and strategy videos like this. And hopefully you enjoyed. I will see you in the next video.